Om Shanti. Let's begin with a few minutes of meditation, or rather, practice of soul consciousness, because what we are doing right now is understanding that I am a soul and then practicing how to stay in that awareness or consciousness that I am a soul. So let's do that for some moments first. Sit relaxed and still. Keep the body so still that it does not disturb you. My body is still and my eyes are gently open. I unplug my attention from the world outside and take it to a place behind the eyes of this body. Gently move your attention from outwards to inwards to a place behind the eyes. There it is that I, the driver, sit. This body is the car that I drive. For a few minutes, I unplug my attention from the car and bring it to myself, the driver. I see myself. I'm a radiant point of pure energy, blissfully shining in the place behind the eyes. I look at my radiance. I'm so subtle and yet so radiant. I'm pure energy. There is nothing gross about me. I'm very, very subtle, very pure, and very radiant. I'm light. I am the light that I have been seeking in the world outside. To know myself is such a beautiful experience. I am made of light and very light, lighter than a feather, lighter than the lightest thing I know of. I'm very light and made of light. There is nothing gross or heavy about me. In this beautiful moment of soul consciousness, everything else becomes a blur. Can't see anything. Everything is there but does not exist for me. In this moment, I alone exist. This beautiful, blissful point of pure energy. Just sit in this beautiful experience for some time. Om Shanti. So, we covered the fact that I'm not this body, I'm the being that drives this body, that is the master of this body. We don't know much about the being right now, but we know two things. A, that I am made of light, and B, that I am very light. Two things we have learned about the being, and this whole spiritual knowledge is about the being. So we will gradually be covering different aspects of the being every day. Today, we will talk about another aspect of the being that I am, and that aspect is I am unchangeable and indestructible, also unshakable. So I am unchangeable, I indestructible, and unshakable. These are the three aspects we will cover today. Rajneesh Bhai will not cover Buddhi today. We'll do that tomorrow, okay? So I think this is more with the flow today. So we will cover three aspects about the being, that I, the being, am unchangeable, indestructible, and unshakable. Now, I would again want you to reflect on one question today, which is just take a moment of silence and look at the world around you. Start from your body and pay your attention to everything that your eyes can see, or everything physical that you can think of, which you think is you or belongs to you right now. And ask yourself one question very, very deeply. What amongst all of the things that my eyes can see will never change and never perish? So what is it that my eyes can see that can never change, will always stay the same, is immutable, and will never perish, is indestructible? Now, can you think of something of that kind? Anything that your eyes can behold or perceive? Can you think of anything that will never change or never perish or both? Is there anything? Who can think of it? Please raise your hand. So, I think we all agree that there is nothing that will never change and never perish. Now, the thing is, we know this thing, but we do not take it into account when we operate in life. And this is the reason why we feel the way we feel. Now, today we will understand that the soul per se is unshakable, unchangeable, indestructible. So, you all have heard in the Gita that Atma Ajar Amar Avinashi hai. So, the soul doesn't change, it is immutable, it is indestructible, and it is not shakable either. There is no reason why you, the soul, should get disturbed or waver in the face of changing circumstances. But the problem lies with our identification with the external world. Now, the thing is, these are two hands. There is no reason why they should move together. One can move this way and another one can move this way, right? I can move both of them in two separate directions according to my wish. But if I just connect them this way and lock them up like this, then I can't move them separately. One moves, the other also moves with it. Yes? So, this is what we have done in our consciousness. So, what we have done is, I, the soul, am distinct from the body, but I somehow connected the two. I said, I am the body. Now, the body can't stay in one uniform state always. Sometimes it will be in good health, sometimes it will not be in such good health. But there is no reason for me to feel not okay. I, the soul, to feel not okay. Now, at this point, I would clarify that the soul is the thinking, experiencing being. Just like yesterday we covered that when the car gets hit, the driver gets hurt. So, I am the soul and I am the thinking, experiencing being in the body. But why do I, the thinking, experiencing being, get hurt? Because I am attached to the body or I identify with the body. I identify with the external world, with the external circumstances. So, this is why I get affected when things outside change. Now, everybody says, I want peace, I want stability, I want inner calmness. But how will you get that if you identify and tune in your consciousness with something that is always in a state of flux? So, we are identifying with and connecting with everything external that is always in a state of flux. Now, if we do that, then how can I, the soul, stay calm and stable? Am I clear? Yes, so the problem is not my feelings. The problem or the root of why I feel the way I feel is because I identify with the external world. Now, you see, the external world has a power over you because of two words, I and my. So, when you say, I am this and this is mine, then these two words are the glue with which the external world sticks to your internal world. So when you say, I am an engineer, then anything happening in the world of engineers is affecting you, right? Okay. Now, when I say I am a mother, this child is mine, then whatever is happening to the child is happening double to me, right? Because I and my are the two words through which the external world and its disturbances cling on to my internal world, right? So, am I suggesting that you stop saying I'm an engineer and I'm a mother and a father? Then what do you do, right? So, now we have to understand one equation very well, and the equation is there are two possibilities. Either the situation outside will upset me inside, or my stable state inside will influence the situation outside. All right, there are two possibilities in any situation. Either the external situation will disturb me, or I remain stable and my stability will influence the external situation. These are the two possibilities that are always open. Now, which of the possibilities actually comes into action is decided by which one is more powerful. Am I able to stay stable despite the external situation being very tumultuous? Or am I disturbed at the slightest tremor in the external world and my instability again affects the external? All right, like if somebody is shouting at you, you can stay calm and you can make them see that they are shouting by staying so calm that you become a mirror in which they see their behavior. Or they can shout and you can shout louder. So, in the first case, you have affected them, and in the second case, they are influenced by your stability. So, these two possibilities are there in every situation, moment to moment, every day. And in order to exercise the first option, which is I stay stable and influence the external situation, what I have to do is I have to understand that I am not the body, I am not what I do, I am not my relationships, I am not what I have. They are different from me. And yes, they are in a state of instability and they are shaking and wavering, or they are changing, or there is something going, something coming. There is a constant change in the external world, but that doesn't mean that I here have to stay unstable. So I can be myself despite whatever is going outside. Okay, so I am an unchangeable, unshakable, indestructible entity in the face of every change, every tremor, every destruction that is happening outside. And if I can stay stable, I can influence the external world. All right. Now, let me give you an example, a very practical example of this. So, like I'm giving you a session today, and I also started the way you are starting. So I also took up the course one day and I also started this journey. And when we start the journey, we are not very good at it. Like we also learn by doing. So it is a process. So, what happened is in my early days of Seva, when I had just begun giving discourses and sessions, There was one brother who called me up and said that I want to come to the center and learn meditation. I said, yes, you're most welcome. Then he said, I want to come at 5:30 in the morning. I said, all right. So are you an early riser? Because we usually start sessions by 6:30. So if you are a very early riser and if there is some reason why you want to come at 5:30, you are welcome. Then he said, no, no, actually, I'm a very late riser. So I want to change my habit. So that's why I want to keep this time at 5:30 so that I come at 5:30 and I change the habit. So I said, all right, if that helps you, good enough for me, you are welcome. So he came. Now he came and he sat across me and he just dozed off. He was yawning and fidgeting and he was dozing off. And I was giving him the course, and the course was about this same lesson that I am giving you today about how the external can affect you or you can affect the external. But actually, I had started to get affected by what he was doing. And while he was yawning and fidgeting, I started getting these thoughts. What is this? Why do you have to force yourself to come up at 5:30 and also disturb my schedule? And then you are not even in your senses. You are not listening. You are not even awake, and you are wasting my time and also your time. And these kinds of thoughts just kept coming to me. And then I had a moment where I just caught myself doing all that. And because this awareness is not always there, but sometimes you catch yourself doing the thing that you're not supposed to do. Then I caught myself doing that and I said, oh, all right, he is not able to wake up while he should, but I'm also not able to be peaceful and have good wishes while I should. So, even if he is not doing what he should be doing, at least let me do what I'm supposed to do. And I am supposed to have very good wishes and have faith that this soul is in a receptive mood and this soul will get what I am trying to deliver. So let me have that good wish and just deliver the lecture. So what I did is I just pulled my attention back from him to me. And I focused on myself, my state, my stability, and started saying the things I was saying. So that same lecture, but with this awareness. And I didn't even look at him for around 2-3 minutes because I was just concentrating on my state of mind. And then when I looked at him, he was sitting straight, he was attentive, he had stopped dozing, he was not yawning, he was not fidgeting. And by the end of the session, he could retain a lot of what I was saying. Okay, so this is one practical experience that I had in the early days, which really registered in my mind, and then I had a lot many experiences later, but this one is really close to my heart, so I shared it with you. So, in every situation, there are two possibilities, but which of them is exercised depends on which one is more powerful. If you have practiced detachment from the body enough, that is, I am not my eyes or ears, and although I may see something, I may hear something, I can still stay stable because that is my nature. So the nature of the soul is indestructible, unshakable, unchangeable. And the external circumstances, the nature of external circumstances is change is the only constant. So what we have to understand is while we are operating with this body, with people, with situations, never expect that they are going to stay the same. And if we take a close look, it will be very evident that our relationship with change is not a very favorable one, right? We don't like change. So we name change as tragedy as I don't know what else. So you say this was bad, this happened, and this was betrayal, and this was tragic, and this was unfortunate. But actually, change is not unfortunate, neither is it tragic, nor is it nor somebody betrays you. It is the nature of the world that change is the only constant, and nothing and nobody will ever stay the same. So, whenever something happens on the external world, if we see it as just change, and what you have to do with in the face of change is you have to keep your inner world stable. That's it. And one thing changes, then it comes to a new equilibrium, and then that also changes, and the other also changes, and the other also changes. So change is a constant process. So you do not have to get shaken up with change. You only have to ask yourself, okay, now this is the situation, so how do I need to recalibrate my inner self so that I can work with this? Got it. So from today onwards, just remove these words from your dictionary. This is unfortunate, this is tragic, this is difficult, this is a problem. Everything is just simple change. And the thing is, what changed today will not stay the same tomorrow also. So even this change is not permanent. So there is a phrase which you all must also be familiar with: this too shall pass. So everything is going to pass. So nothing is going to ever stay the same. But the beautiful thing is, I don't have to shake with it. I can stay myself, I can stay stable, I can stay calm, composed, peaceful, despite whatever change is going on outside. And this knowledge about your ability to stay stable in every situation which is changing outside is a very powerful piece of knowledge. So, in Hindi we say, Smriti se Samarthi. Smriti se Samarthi, which means if you are aware of something, it becomes an ability. Okay, so if you understand it or if you are aware of something, then you can do it. So, just like you are aware of so many things, so you can do it. Like if you know how to cook, you can cook and prepare a meal and have it. Similarly, now that you are aware that I can stay stable in the face of change because I am a soul, I am not what I say is me or mine, so I am distinct from that. The nature of everything external is to change, it will change, but I don't have to change with that. So if you just hold this piece of knowledge in your consciousness, then you have the ability to exercise it and stay stable in the face of change. All right. So today you practice this all day and just remind yourself. If you just remind yourself, bring it to your awareness, then it manifests itself as an ability. So this is something that you have to take away today. So about this whole change and whatever I discussed until now, I will tell you, every person today has four primary emotions that you feel. Very strong emotions that we feel today are: first is sense of loss. Yes, everybody feels sense of loss from time to time. Then we feel sadness. Then there is anger and there is fear. So these are four primary emotions that every soul experiences these days. Is there anyone amongst you who doesn't experience a sense of loss and sadness and anger and fear? No, there's no one. And we all feel these things. Today, we will understand how this is connected to this one lack of knowledge that everything on the external has to change. Now, you see, there is a law which says all sense of loss is born out of a false sense of ownership. All sense of loss is born out of a false sense of ownership. Now, what happens is we are moving in this world, and basically nothing and no one belongs to us. Okay, we don't own. Do you own anything? So, there is what is ownership? If you own something, then it should always obey you and behave according to your wishes or your directions. But is there anything in the world which obeys you 100% and behaves only according to your directions? No, not even your body. So, how can you think about other people and other things? Right? So, basically, there is no ownership in this world. There is only a contract based on mutual love and respect. Okay, so if you respect your body, if you love your body, it cooperates with you more than it does if you don't do so. Okay, so if you want to have a relationship wherein your body or a situation or the five elements of matter or your job or your boss or anybody is in a good relationship with you, then that relationship has to be based on mutual love and respect. That's the only way. There is no ownership. You take care of people, they take care of you. Sometimes you take care of them, they don't take care of you. Sometimes they take care of you, you don't take care of them, right? And so the contract doesn't survive long. So there is only one relationship which we have, which is based on mutual love and respect. There is no ownership as such. Uh, you cannot force anybody or anything to behave your way. There is only one way to bring them to behave your way, that is by influence. And that influence is founded on love and respect. So if you love somebody, respect somebody or something or any element of nature or your work or anything, then you are in a better relationship with them. Otherwise, there is no shortcut. All right. So even if it is children that you give birth to or people you sacrifice everything for, you can still not claim that they have to behave your way or they have to be your way. There is no such law in the universe that people or things or places or situations have to be your way. All right, so basically there is no ownership. There are only good relationships and bad relationships depending on how you treat the other party. All right, so we have an ability to forge relationships which is based on our capacity of love and respect. If I want you to stay, I have to be loveful and respectful. If I ill treat you, you won't stay. Got it? So I can make you stay as long as I want, but then I have to keep increasing my intensity of love and respect. That's it. Do you get it? Yes, it is as simple as that. So basically, there is no ownership as such in the world. Now, but we have this false sense of ownership, which is given by our social conditioning, wherein they say you own this or this belongs to you. Now you see that the nature doesn't belong to you and it can backfire. So coronavirus has taught us that you can't exploit anything without risking having an antagonistic relationship with it eventually. So if you don't treat anything well, it's your relationship with that thing or that soul or anything becomes antagonistic and they backfire. So, this is the teaching that the coronavirus has taught us. So, basically, it is teaching us mutual love and respect for everything and everyone, right? Now, when there is no sense of ownership and we believe or we just, have this idea, this vain idea that I own something, that what happens is, first, you create this vain idea that I own this, and then you have to deal with the fact that you don't own it. Because when you create an idea that I own something, then you start expecting it to behave the way you want it to behave. And then it doesn't, right? Because that's not how it is designed. So then, because when you are face to face with reality and you have not prepared yourself for it, what do you experience? You experience a sense of loss, right? But then that sense of loss is not because there's actually some loss, but it is only because you had a false sense of ownership, and that led to this false sense of loss. Right? Now, when you experience loss, then what do you experience next is sadness. Okay? Now, when you can't handle sadness, what do? You find somebody to blame for it. When sadness becomes very difficult to handle, you find somebody to blame for it. And then that sadness changes into anger. So sadness is very difficult to deal with it. So we change its form and make it aggressive and become angry about it. And then when you have completed this whole journey of loss, sadness and anger, you say, I am fearful now that this shouldn't repeat. So then comes fear. And when you have fear, then all our fears will always come true. All our fears will always come true, because when you have a fear of something, you are actually constantly creating an image of its manifestation. Like if you are walking on a street and there is a pothole some 100 meters ahead, and then you have this thought, I shouldn't fall into the pothole, I shouldn't fall in the pothole, then there are 90% chances you go and end up falling into the pothole. Because when you say, I shouldn't do this shouldn't happen, God forbid this should happen, then if you are doing this, then while doing so, you are creating an image of exactly what you are trying to avoid. All right. So, just like if I tell you, don't think about a green apple, what did you think? Green apple, because your brain doesn't understand this is yes and this is no. It only understands words and forms an image. So when you say I shouldn't fall down, actually you are creating an image of falling down. All right. So all our fears will always come true. And that is why people say my fears have always come true, because that is how it's supposed to be. So if you first engage in false ownership, then you experience a sense of loss, then sadness, then anger, then fear, then again that fear manifests in instant loss. And then again you experience sadness, anger and fear. So this cycle continues, and that is why these emotions are so strong in us. So, how do you break this cycle? By correcting that first thing, that nothing belongs to you. All right, nothing belongs to you. You don't have ownership over anything. You can just have a good relationship if you respect whatever is there you are operating with. Now, let me give you a very practical example of how this sadness, loss, anger, fear manifests. You go to a mall and there you see a very nice vase, all right? And that vase costs 10,000 rupees. Now you see that vase and then you have a idea that if this vase found a place in my drawing room, then it would be very nice and my drawing room would look lovely. And then you invest 10,000 bucks into it and you bring that vase home. And while doing that, from the moment you set your eyes on the vase, there is one thought: my vase. My drawing room looks better with it. This is something that belongs to me. You bring that, you set it in it on a table in the drawing room. And then what happens? Somebody's hand just brushes off against it and it falls. Now, what do you feel? I lost something. Yes, I lost something. And then you feel a sense of loss and sadness because you lost that vase. And then because you can't handle it, you blame it on the person whose hand brushed against it. And then next time you go to a mall and see a beautiful vase, you say, "Na baba na, this falls down." And then I lose money when I buy this vase. So you are scared to buy a vase next time you see it in the mall. So this is how this cycle operates. And I'm telling this to you in a very simple case of a vase, but then with people, with everything, this is what is happening. So mera bacha hai na, my baby you keep doing, and then that baby gets married, and then that baby then that baby doesn't listen to you, and then they say, "I lost my baby, I lost my child was mine for 25 years and now he doesn't belong to me." And then you can't handle it, so your enemy is his wife, because that is the person you blame for taking away your child, and then you are scared to get your other child married off. So you say, पिछली बार जो हुआ था ना, I am really scared कि this time also my next bahu, I don't know what she will do, so I better, I should exercise caution while getting this one get married. So this is how this cycle continues. But basically, we never learn. The problem is we experience so much of sadness, anger, fear, but we never learn that we need to detach and we need to have wisdom about our approach to everything. So we have to live in the world, but we should know that I am not this external world. I am a soul, a thinking, experiencing being, and my thoughts and experiences are independent of the external world. We will be covering these things in the next chapters, so you will have a lot more clarity later. But today, what I want you to just get it in your minds very nicely and firmly is, I, the soul, am unchangeable, indestructible, unshakable, and I have the capacity to stay calm and stable despite everything shifting outside. And if I do that, I have more control over the external. I have more control over the external in the sense that I can influence it with my stability. All right. So, in the case of the example of the vase, there is some country, I don't remember, where they don't use this language that they broke the vase. They say the vase broke itself. Okay, so this person did this language is not there. So they say the vase broke itself, the glass broke itself, or this person did this to himself. They don't say This happened because of this external factor. So this is also a very good way culturally which they have promoted, that everything that happens because of its own destiny, and anything outside in the world has its own destiny and its own trajectory. Everything moves on its own path. So we do not have to create this illusion that I decide how long a person stays or I decide when they leave. Okay, they stay as long as they are destined to stay. They leave as long when they are destined to leave. But what I have to do while they stay is be respectful, be loveful, create good karma. And when they leave, I have to be okay that they left because they were destined to leave at this time. So, this is how you operate in sync with the external world. And all this happens by staying conscious of these facts. So, basically, when we talk about Raj Yoga meditation has four parts. First is knowledge. First is knowledge. Second is meditation. Third is application, and fourth is seva, service. Okay, in Hindi it is called Gyan, Yog, Dharana, and Seva. So, Gyan, knowledge, Yog, meditation, application is Dharana, and Seva is service. So, there are four parts to it. Now, what is basically Raj Yoga meditation? First, you take the knowledge about the truth. So, yesterday we understood that I am a soul and I am light and made of light. Today we understood I am a soul. My nature is I am unchangeable, unshakable, and indestructible. And the nature of the world is it is always changing. And so I do not have to come into this cycle of ownership, loss, sadness, anger, and fear. So this is the first thing that you do, which is knowledge. Second is meditating on it. Meditating on it is starts with reflecting on these things. Now you heard it in the class. This is something that I am telling you. But this, in order to become part of how you see things, you need to churn over it, reflect over it. So all through the day, while you are sitting, standing, walking, working, what you can just do is you can keep churning these things in your mind that, okay, yes, this makes sense. Yes, this is right that everything will change. And yes, I have the capacity. If you experiment staying stable in the face of instability, you realize that yes, I have the capacity. So meditation, yes, soul consciousness we are practicing, but meditation starts with reflection first. So you keep reflecting all through the day about these truths. And then when you start applying them, start applying this knowledge that I can stay stable in the face of instability outside, then you get the power that this Raj Yoga is meant to give you. So that is application of what you have known. And then there is seva. So when you do this, you are able to apply these truths in your life. Then other people around you, especially the very close ones, observe that you are not reacting the way you used to do. And this inspires them also to learn. So this is seva. All right, so these are the four parts of Raj Yoga meditation. And we will be covering the soul in, I think, 7 to 8 days. So it is a long journey, and I will take you through all the aspects of the soul. But for now, these two are sufficient. So if you have a question, you could just write down, or and later we will have a short meditation and then we'll finish today's session. Yes, please ask your question. Unmute yourself. Question is that so there is a person dying due to the coronavirus, and then there are reports that some hospital is engaging in activities like taking out the kidney of the patient. So should we just accept what is, or we should act on it? So now you see, there are two things. One, that which has happened, right? And then that which is possible tomorrow. So there are two things, there is the past and there is the future. Now, regarding the past, you have to accept. Like if somebody's kidney is gone, it's gone. It's gone. And if you do not accept it, you cannot bear the pain that it brings with itself. The second thing is, do I file a case? Yes. That is what you need to do today, right now, tomorrow. So, with regard to events that have to happen today, that are yet to be decided upon, that you have to do, you make a choice which is based on pure wisdom. You understand that this can be averted and another patient should not suffer the way this one did. So, you take that action. But with regard to what has already happened, you don't spare another thought, because when you spend a thought about what has happened, the only thing it gives you is this sense of loss and sadness and anger. And these emotions spoil your potential, your inner ability. So, in order to, so we have these two things, that put a full stop to the past and make your best effort for the present. But what we usually do in the name of right action or activism is we keep analyzing the past and do nothing in the present. All right. So there is a very misguided sense of morality in us. So what we do is we keep analyzing the past, we keep blaming people for how things went, but on our part, we do nothing about it in the present moment. So God says, what you do is put a full stop to the past immediately and decide on what you need to do in the present moment. And yes, you need to do it, and that needs to be done to the best of your ability and potential. All right. So his question is that I said we need to recalibrate ourselves or renegotiate with the change that took place. So, what is a practical example of that? So, just like the example which was shared by Sanjay Bhai, that somebody died due to a coronavirus, right? So, now this is a change, and this change means that there is one person less and there is the same amount of work, and there are emotions to be taken care of, there are people to be taken care of, there are things to be taken care of in the face of this one person now being gone. So what we need to do is we bring ourselves to bear with the fact that now this is what it is, and we make attempts to to forge a strategy of how we work in the face of this person gone, and how do we deal with the vacuum that this person's absence has created. All right, so this is how you renegotiate with change. For example, I'll give you another example. You are in a marriage, you are happily married, and then one day the person in your marriage walks up to you and tells you, I don't love you anymore. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to immediately tell yourself, all right, even if the other person doesn't love me, I am still lovable, I am still capable of being loved and respected, and the first person who has to do that for me is myself. So, this is how you come to terms with the change, and then you start to devise a strategy of how to gain normalcy or how to function well in the face of this change. Okay, am I clear? Question is that I said you should deal with situations with calmness and politeness, but actually, if you deal with calmness and politeness, if you deal every situation with calmness and politeness, it doesn't work. So we are talking about the inner world, right? And when you are calm inside, you can choose your behavior outside, right? I can choose to be firm. I can choose to be strict. I can choose to be a no nonsense person in the message I convey in my body language, but I can still be calm inside. All right. So when you are very calm inside, you are in a position to decide how you want to present yourself outside, and you don't underdo it or overdo it because you are not. So it's complete choice, and you can actually be a very good actor. Okay, so and I can give you an example of this, that when I give sessions, I have to be sometimes very strict, very firm, and I have to put my foot down and tell people that this will not be tolerated. But that doesn't mean that I have to compromise on my sense of love and respect for them while doing that. So this is how you not react but respond. All right. Thank you. So let's meditate for some time and then we'll finish. Give your body a minute to relax. My body is relaxed. I take my attention to myself. This body is gross, made up of 5 elements of nature. I am distinct from this body. Sitting behind the eyes, I am made of light, non-physical light. I am the subtle energy in this gross world. Just see yourself. I am absolutely still. I, the star, am very fixed, unmoving, unshakable, very stable and still. I'm sitting on my seat behind the eyes. I am absolutely still, silent, and peaceful. This is me. This is my nature. I can stay firm and stable amid storms. In this world where everything is constantly changing, I am unshakable. See yourself as the star around which the whole world is constantly moving. And you can hold your peace and stability in the face of constant change outside. This is me. I hold on to this awareness that I am a still point of light. Sit in this feeling for some time. Om Shanti.